Hello, everyone. This is a live stream about what it's like to deal with an avoidant attached person. I'm going to go ahead and put in the comments too. Dealing with an avoidant. And I have a guest who is going to be joining me. Let me go ahead and pin this, and we're going to get started. You guys drop your city and state so I can see where you are watching from as Instagram lets him in, and hopefully Instagram shows me love. Hi, how are you?
Good. How are you doing?
I'm really good, thank you. It's always that moment when you see someone that you've only talked to on Instagram and it's like, cool, they're a real person.
Yeah, I know exactly what you're saying. Where, yeah, everything doesn't feel real, kind of online. Everyone's just fake people until
Right, these
you
talking
talk.
heads.
Yeah, absolutely.
Oh
So
my gosh.
strange.
I was binging on your page. I came across something, on Instagram, if you look at one thing, Instagram's like, oh, that's what you like? I'm gonna give you 50.
Yeah.
And so it was really good stuff. And I love what you had to say because it humanized avoidance.
Mm.
And I slid in your DM and I was saying how everyone is just like, die, die, avoid it. It's like hatred for avoidance. And I'm like, they're
It
people
so is.
too.
It
Yeah.
so is though.
Oh
It's the
my
worst.
God. It's
Like
dark. It's,
it's
it's,
it's dark in here over. Honestly, my kind of goal is just like I have to be like stronger than the comment section a little bit because like I have to like know that my mission is just to be like hopefully one centered voice in this category because like I mean it's so easy to pick on avoidance because it's I mean I
Mhm.
think the
So
problem
easy.
you study it enough it definitely lies in our hands a little bit more for those of us
Yeah.
who identify but yeah it's I just have to have a whole lot of I have to do my inner work before checking that comment section.
I had to do inner work with the replies because I rarely reply to other people's pages because people are just a little bit more, we'll say vocal.
Yeah.
It's on your page, people tend to be a little bit whatever. But I put a comment saying, hey, this is what worked for me. And the pitchforks came out. So I was like, oh, we are definitely going to hit a nerve.
Oh, the pitchforks are out. I just brace myself every video, and
Yeah.
I can't. The amount of times I've been tempted to reply, but I'm like, Drew, like, just
Yes.
don't make a post. You don't need to explain. Like, it's okay. Like, and I just have to calm myself
Uh
down. And
huh.
but thank
So
you. I
this is
appreciate it.
much needed. This is
Yeah,
much needed conversation, I think.
this very much.
Oh my gosh. Well, I jumped right into it.
Yeah,
But
yeah,
of course, I'm going to be formal. Ladies and
yes.
gentlemen, we have Drew Daniels. He can be found at Drew Daniels, which makes it very easy for us.
Thank you.
Um, and he
Yeah.
is certified, y'all. I'm gonna let you give all your particulars so people know why they should take you very seriously. And then we're gonna have a very serious
Yes,
conversation
it's a very
about
serious one.
dating
Thank
avoidant
you.
people.
I love it. Yeah, no. So I present as someone who's a certified life and trauma informed coach, and really that's just like code for I really love studying this stuff, and I also really have tried very hard to apply it to my life and be introspective and aware of it as I'm doing it, and it's kind of led to these channels and this career kind of over the last few years. So yeah, it's really just like I've noticed that for me, I think the people who find me are those. It's like it's kind of like that. I don't know if it's so stupid. That Harry Potter movie where like that room only appears when people need it. My videos only appear when people need me kind of energy where it's
Mm-hmm.
like, oh, you're going through a breakup with somebody who you don't like. My face appears on your timeline. And it's usually me just being more honest about this other perspective. And so people just will be like, oh, I just loved it. It felt like you were honest. And
Mm-hmm.
I just want to know their brain is like the thing I get. I just want to know their brain. And I'm like, I'm sure you
I'm
like
like,
get that
you're like
all
a
the time.
unicorn. I'm like,
I know.
ooh.
I know. Yeah, I'm noticing that people are like approaching me a lot more, and they're just like, it's hard to find someone, and I'm like, I suppose you're right.
Yeah.
I don't really know, and I don't say that as like a badge,
Yeah, but
to
you know why, right?
yeah,
Because you
like
can talk and speak and like you're like, you're like a mythical
I
creature. We're
know.
gonna put you in a box and study you because you know the whole thing about an avoidant is that they're this enigma.
Yeah,
They are not expressive. So to see an expressive, well, I think you said you have overcome avoidant tendencies, right?
yeah. So I mean, like
Okay.
in theory, it's even worse because I'm fearful avoidant. So like, it's
Oh,
like capture the whole spectrum, but like, so I certainly know the anxious position, which I think, classic fearful avoidance. They're
Mhm.
they maybe have high EQ, is what some might say.
Yeah.
But for me, it's like I did live in the high end of the dismissive traits for quite a few
Hmm.
years. So it's like I was very familiar, and then would just notice that I was just that guy.
Yeah.
And so yeah,
You're a magical creature. Like I say that, and it sounds funny, but you are. You're a magical creature, and we're going to study you. There's another guy I came across. His name is Jack, and he also is able to express. And I was just like, I want to study you. I want to
yeah,
learn, because you guys have been there and you can put words to it. And so I'm fascinated as well. I'm very fascinated by people, psychology, but specifically in romantic relationships. I'm highly fascinated.
yeah,
And so in studying this, you hear a lot of like book smarts, but to actually study somebody, it's
yeah. Totally. I know what you're saying.
oh my gosh, but lovingly. So I'm gonna throw myself under the bus a little bit. I'm a
Okay.
recovering anxiously
Oh,
attached person.
yes, of
Uh,
course.
hmm And so of course we as anxious attached, when I was, you tend to draw in a lot of avoidance. And I
Mhm.
just want to say that this is a safe space.
Okay, good.
And there's no judgment.
None.
Everybody is trying to move towards secure attachment, but not everybody is there. And we kind of joked at the beginning, but talking about this, but we are on different ends of the spectrum. And when I say we, I mean former. So you guys, we are recovering. Okay.
Totally.
We are not like proudly anxious or proudly detached, all this stuff, but we're moving towards the center, which is the healthy space, just for this example, I should say. So one is anxiously attached, one is avoidant, but you notice they're both not healthy. So
Mhm.
I would hope to create a culture that says avoidance need love too,
Oh
not
wow.
just anxious attachers, because both people are not where they want to be. And I guarantee you probably didn't feel phenomenal when
No,
you were right. And I
absolutely.
think there's this idea that the avoidant people are like, "La, la," like skipping through the roads, the fields, and then we're over here like in the fetal position, like,
Yeah.
oh, you evil person. So I just want to like
Yeah.
tackle that first and foremost. So could you start off by explaining? I'm gonna ask you two things.
Yeah. Please. Yeah.
I guess first I'll go back this way. I want to know what made you aware and even want to start to do the work, because everyone's like, put this on his page, not mine, right? And we usually say his because
It's
we
all.
always say it's the men. Right. Okay, so pronouns we're gonna say him.
Yeah. Sure. Yeah.
But it could be anyone, a woman could be avoidant. What made you see the light, come to Jesus? And then two, can you explain the perspective of an avoidant person? So, and I'll write that second one
Yeah.
down if you
No.
forget, because I
Thank you.
think
No.
like ding, ding,
No.
ding, ding, ding.
No. Let me. No. Absolutely. Yeah. I would say so. So I get this question. This is like the number one question I get. Comment section. People show up, and I mean,
Because
like,
unicorns aren't, you're a unicorn because you
I,
changed.
I seriously, I mean, I don't know. I'm gonna welcome the title. So for me, the dismissive traits, like seriously, were very hard to wake up to. I think there
Hmm.
was so much. The feeling is there's so much justification for feeling the way that you do, because
Hmm.
you're primarily, I would say really if they're like on the spectrum of avoidance of like the type of experiences internally you have is like on one end there's just this deep justification of anger, and that's because maybe I find that angers for the
Hmm.
avoidance who are a little more online, a little more conscious,
Hmm.
in touch with their feelings. They're going to have bitterness, resentment, frustration, feeling like their needs aren't being heard, and usually those are maybe the more fearful avoidant types, right? But then on the other side, it's like there's the dismissive avoidance. And I see this too in my practice, where it's like there's usually just more of a whoo that's over with, right? Where for them, it's the experience primarily is just like, wow, I'm super defective, aren't I?
Hmm.
Like, you must really think I'm awful if you're gonna keep bringing this. And for them, of course, like they grew up with little to no real emotional
Yeah.
conversations or avenue for them, and so in their world they're being brought to it, and it just feels like this overwhelming, just like this one big black hole.
Yeah.
Like they're facing an anxious partner who's a black hole, and it doesn't matter how much food or nourishment or answers
Hmm.
or explanation they give, it's just bottomless. And for them it's just like a new language. They just,
Yes.
I always use this example to every, of course it is usually men. It's like, if they're a golfer, it's like, it's like you're sitting over there, never played in your life, and you're playing with Tiger Woods.
Yeah.
And they're like, yes,
Yes.
yes, it's like that. And so it's like when you slow it down, just if that's the only perspective you had,
Mm-hmm.
and that was the only thing you knew, you'd be like, wow, like I have a lot of compassion for that person
Yeah.
and their experience. But when it's in the context of like probably years worth of the other partner
Mm-hmm.
being like, can you be empathetic? Can you show up? It feels like that doesn't even matter. Like
Yeah.
sure, I'm Tiger Woods, but man, I've been asking you to take lessons. I've been asking you to learn what a golf ball is, and it's just like you don't even know what a golf ball is, and that's
Mm-hmm.
kind of the protest from the other side. So for these avoided people, yeah, for me to answer the question
Yeah.
kind of backwards, I
Yeah.
was out of order to come back. I think for me, there were just too many times of failure. Let's just start here.
Mm.
So many times of failure because I would be more online, I'd have more anger, and I'd try to explain my
Yeah.
perspective, and then I would just like I would notice that it wouldn't matter or work because at the end of the day I was trying to just tell somebody like, hey, you're just don't take up as much space with feelings even though I have them to.
Mm.
And it was just me, it was constantly me being like, well, see my feelings first, see my feelings first, see my feelings first. And I just noticed that kept happening. And then it was like, and I even had a post about this too, where because I just kept having these conversations in my practice, and I was like, gosh, what were these moments? Because everyone wants to know, and I didn't hold this in high regard until everyone kept asking me. And I just like, the one was just like, my wife would be like, Drew, this is what happened in my day. And I just woke up and then I started making breakfast. And then you just like gave me this reaction. And I just like, I was like, where did that come from? And I would just see it from my wife's perspective. I'd like slow it down and like actually just choose because I just kept being so frustrated that I'd be like, what is she saying right now? And then when I
Mm.
put myself in her shoes, and I do these like weird thought experiments, like
Mm-hmm.
here's one. I'd be like, what if I was the new guy on the first date and she was talking about her ex to me, but that was actually me? Like
Nice.
I would be present with her talking, and I would just be like,
Mm-hmm.
what if I was the new guy right now listening to her, and she's describing her horrible ex?
Mm.
Well, what reaction would I
Mm.
have? I'd be like, oh, he's a piece of trash, oh yeah, leave him. So glad you found me. And I just like
Mm-hmm.
played that forward, and I'd be like, oh my gosh, she would like completely like trash me to a future partner. So
Mm.
there's just and
Wow.
then of course you go to therapy and it doesn't mean your own things aren't invalid. It just was like learning to truly like and then this is the final one that I'll throw the ball back to you because I think another huge moment was like noticing that I would judge anxiety though I had anger, and I'd be like, well, you can't like my anger's
Oh, oh,
okay, like this is okay because I'm mad, but like you have all
yeah.
this anxiety, and I just like make one worse than the other, and I it was almost like realizing that for the first time that oh, well, that's just my body's response. My
Mm-hmm.
body's response is anger. Her body's response is anxiety. Why do I elevate mine above hers? That's really contemptuous and really judgmental. And I realized like, oh my gosh, like truly it was like a mouth over hand moment where I
Mm-hmm.
was like,
Mm-hmm.
oh, I really like judged her and held her in contempt. And
Yeah.
I kind of like backed off of that. I was like, whoa, I don't want to be that guy. So it's just like a long process of seeing it all. But I don't know if any of that resonates or meets you in your own
Oh,
experience.
I have like goosebumps.
Yeah,
I'm like,
totally.
I'm fighting and doing the like spoken word snaps, like, yes, present.
Yeah, yeah,
Yes.
exactly.
It was so good because when you were talking about yours showed up as anger, hers showed up as anxiety. And it's funny because I'm going to kind of jump around a little bit. We're going to go male, female, but I try not to have gender wars, but there's a lot of differences in us. One of the things is that men will can dismiss women's feelings as you're being emotional, but not realize that anger and frustration and all that, those are also emotions. But if we were to say, golly, sir, you're being emotional, that's we're ready to fight. You're basically calling me out of my manhood. But the reality is, if you are being overcome by feelings and it's affecting your voice and your volume and your word choice and your body language, those are feelings. Those are emotions. So that was really cool hearing that. So big disclaimer, because I'm very big on privacy and not telling anyone else's story, but I am currently dating, well, more than dating, I'm engaged to an avoidant, someone with an
Congrats.
avoidant attachment style.
That's
Oh,
so
thank you.
exciting.
Not for the
Congrats.
avoidant part. No, I'm just kidding.
Oh, yeah, right.
You get an avoidant. No, I'm just
You
kidding.
get it.
Funny. No, but I love him. And I told him I was going to be talking about this. And I said, would you be okay with me mentioning your story? And he said, yeah. So I would never. ever tell someone's story, but he explicitly gave me permission to. The reason why I want to share it, I love that he's willing to do this, is because I think other people can see themselves through that person. And especially people see us and they see we're this happy couple and we love each other so much. You might think of an avoidant person as just this evil villain, with like pointed ears and like sitting in the corner. I mean, the way people talk about them.
Yeah.
My guy is so charismatic and so loving, but I couldn't figure out why we kept having disconnect when there would be when I would just share information with him. And so thanks to ChatGPT, saved me a lot of years of therapy.
Chat. Shout out
But
to
I wanted
chat.
to you said what?
I said shout out to
Oh,
chat.
right, right. We go together.
Yeah.
Um, I learned so much about his side. So what I realized is when somebody said something, there was like all these little pieces of videos, some yours, some other people's, and all the people pieces just kind of come together. But I heard somebody say, this is another girl I used to do, did live stream with, and her name is slipping my mind right now. I'm sorry, but she said when somebody raises their volume when they're speaking, we normally interpret that as an attack. They're coming for us, they're being aggressive, they're doing something to us. She said, what if you shifted it and realized that if a person is raising their voice, they're literally saying, I am trying to be heard and I don't think I am. And I was
Whoa. That
like,
was
it's so
so
basic,
good.
right? It's so
That's
basic, but like on a fundamental level, that's why we raise our voice. Like if I'm talking to you right now, you're listening to me, you're giving me a chance to speak, I'm giving you a chance to speak. I don't feel that need to. But if all of a sudden you just start cutting me off and like hurling insults, I might accidentally or unintentionally rather raise my voice because I want to be heard. So that was a first piece, right? And then the second thing was I want to know what's happening in his body. Because if I'm saying to you, like, right, if I'm literally talking to you, Drew, and I say, wow, that's a great haircut, and you're like, shut up, I'd go, there's gotta be a disconnect because where I come from, that's a compliment, and most people say thank you. So that's kind of what was happening for me. I was sharing something that was a fear or a concern or whatever, and I was being met with hostility. So the aha moment was, Yancy, you got to understand what he's hearing. And so you tapped into it at the beginning. You said, the avoidant person feels like I'm not good enough. I'm not capable of meeting this person's needs. And you used the golf analogy. Someone said girls have girls have that 64 pack of crayons, with like the row after row after row after row, and then the lid comes up. And the guy has the two crayons that come on the table at the restaurant.
oh
So you're trying to paint a beautiful sunset. He's like, chick, I got red and blue. Like, you want chartreuse, you want turquoise, I ain't got that. I don't even know what those are. And
yeah.
so that's where I want to start. And I just feel like I just, monopolized the conversation right
Oh,
there. But as
I
far
felt
as
that way
like,
earlier. You're fine.
okay, good. Then we're gonna volley,
I
okay?
was like, I talked way
Um,
too long.
yeah, no, that's totally the thing. That's a thing for live streams.
Yeah,
So,
yeah, it is.
do you want to like paint that a little bit more? I mean, because when you said, does that resonate with you? I'm like, yes, because that's what I discovered. Like, I realized he was hearing, you're missing the mark again. You're missing the mark again. You're missing the mark again. Is that how you felt when your wife was coming to you with concerns she had?
Yeah.
Or was yours a little
Oh,
different?
yeah. Of course. Oh my gosh. Yeah. I mean, I think trying to not go too vulnerable, but vulnerable enough for the live. I would say like the feeling is, I think whether this is the thing I think that most people don't want to hear about the avoidant partner. Like I've thought very hard how to explain this in a post that won't feel like
Hmm.
I'm just gonna hit a beehive.
Yeah.
Um, but the truth is like, oh, I'm gonna say it. I literally am like, do you see how resistant I am to saying this out loud?
Yes, because
Sorry,
I know
I'm
what it
drawing it
is
out for our viewers.
don't explain it. They just need to get their life together. That's like the reaction usually. We don't care about why they do it. They just suck. They're the
Yes,
sluts.
yes,
Yeah.
it is criticism. I'm gonna say it.
Yeah.
It is criticism. The this is the major difference. It feels like from if the anxious position, I'm raising awareness, and there are,
Hmm.
and I would say from the intention and from the messenger standpoint, I would say like at least 70, 80, 90% of the time, that's what's going
Hmm.
on. And I
Hmm.
think I'm so curious to hear from you actually.
Yeah.
But what it feels like from the avoidant perspective is that's impossible that everything's raising awareness to us.
Mm,
It's absolutely
mm,
not true because you are every day coming in with anger. You are every day blowing up our spot. And this is the thing I even use this example with my clients where it's like, okay, I just need to know when I'm actually missing the recital versus when you feel like I'm not taking you to get ice cream. Because
mm.
it's like if everything feels like I'm missing the recital right now.
Yes.
And it's because at some point I did. And so now when I don't take you to get like when I'm not getting ice cream because like that might be a nice to have.
Hmm.
Sure, oh my gosh, like I want to go get ice cream with you. But that's where it's like a lot of guys are avoiding partners and they're like, well, here's ice cream. But it's like, no, like you missed the
Yeah.
recital, and that's what I'm really talking about. And so for me, the
Yes.
biggest thing I try to tell anxious partners is like boil it down to 2 to 3 main source
Yes.
issues.
Yes.
Boil it down,
Yes.
make it plain and clear. It's gonna help you, it's gonna help us, it's gonna help everybody if you just like identify this pattern. And I am not saying anything other than this pattern, but what so when an issue happens in real time, it's like this comes back to that pattern. This moment is
Yes.
that pattern. And it's just like it doesn't need to be over, get super in the weeds, and it will, and it can, and that's
Yes.
okay. That's a part of it, right? But I think to your point, like the resonance of like the 2 colors. Like I remember going to therapy, and my therapist was like, Drew, it sounds like you have shame, and I was like,
That's the
what?
word. Yes. Yes.
What? Like I just was like, wait, what? Like I don't like.
Yes.
I thought my big thing was I was a huge intellectualizer. So for me, it was like I actually was reading the books, and that's why I'm here today.
Mm,
But I was like, I was reading these books, and I'm like, understanding the terminology is like, Drew, like you're not connected to. This is not connected. It's
yeah.
all up here. And to be honest, like I just like realized how disconnected from my body I was, like completely, utterly. And it was really marrying my wife, where she's like, I'm hungry, I feel cold, like I have sickness, and I'm like, why does your body have all these problems? I would literally be like, why are you talking about your body every day?
Wow.
I didn't understand it. And I was like, now I'm like, oh, like my body feels things and has sensations that I'm not aware of at all. Um,
It's funny you said that because my guy darn near chopped his finger off, even though I warned him that the new knife is extremely, extremely sharp, but legitimately cut it so deeply they had to solder it back, like, well, gross, but the flesh back together. And like almost a year later, 6 months or so, he still has pain in there. He thinks he cut through the nerve, but like he just goes, I put it out of my mind. Let that be me. I burned my finger on the stove for like hours. I'm like crying. I'm holding it. I'm icing it. Like you guys have this ability to detach from your physical bodies in a way that is wild. Same thing with your emotions. Something will happen that is traumatizing for him, and he'll be like, I just want to move on. Like, not between us, but he'll be like, I just want to move on. And I'm reeling. My body is feeling it. I want to cry. I want to express to a girlfriend, like, girl, this is what we just went through. And he's just like, onward, moving onward. I choose not to. And I'm like, if I had a little bit of that ability to just be like, this is making me sad. I'm moving on from it. I'm
yes,
like, oh my God.
it is. This is, and actually, and this is something I also say, and this is like a way I encourage my avoidant
Yeah.
friends, if you will. I say there's some benefits. Like life isn't
Yeah.
that deep.
Yes,
So when big things happen, you can. It's not that deep.
that is
I got it.
him. He
Yeah,
literally is like, I could go through the rest of my life without having a deep conversation. And me, I'm like, I live for deep conversation.
I'm also like that too, though. That's why I was like, I gotta figure this out because I love that. I love getting deep. But yeah,
You
like
got like
the
a hybrid stuff. I feel terrible referencing stuff, especially things that made a monumental impact in my life, and I don't remember their names. But God, please let them come in my timeline so I can remember. But there's this couple, and they do research, and they had this thing that they discovered, which was the deepest fear. So they went to I think they went to men and women separately to see what the deepest fear was, and surprising or not surprising, the men's deepest fear was different than the woman's deepest fear, but the woman figured that it would be this, their fears would be the same. So they were shocked to reveal what it was. And so the man's deepest fear is, I'm not enough, which would lead to shame. And the woman's deepest fear is, I'm unlovable, which would make her feel sad. And so, or anxious, or all this stuff. And I was like, whoa, all these little wheels started spinning in my head, and all these different pieces started to come together. And I'm a believer, in Jesus Christ. So I have the belief system that we have what we could see in the physical realm, and then there's spiritual. And I believe that a lot of the attacks are, they're nothing crazy. It's just suggestions, little whispers. You're not enough. You'll never be loved. You'll da 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 da. And I thought this makes sense. Like everything with the avoidant comes down to shame, and you're not good enough. So I
Yeah.
I have this conversation, or this analogy, and I say to my guy, "Hey, let's say we're walking in the park and everything is great. We're holding hands, we're skipping along, we're enjoying the sun, the birds are chirping, and then all of a sudden you turn on and elbow me in my face. I'm gonna speak to that. Ouch. That didn't feel good. I'd rather that not happen again, right? I'm using this crazy metaphor. And this is how his mind works. And it sounds hilarious when you use this metaphor, but he says, I don't understand. We've been walking for 20 minutes with no problem. Why would you suddenly prioritize this moment instead of taking it mathematically and saying, out of 21 minutes, everything has been great? The average has been, there was one moment where it was like this. When I gave that example, it was like, oh, and I said, for someone like me, that's all I can focus on. And then my brain goes to, well, gosh, if this person loved me, why would he give me an elbow? Like, he needs to know to please not do that again and then comfort me, because right now my temple is throbbing.
Yeah.
But in his mind, it was, God, I can't do anything right. She doesn't care that I spent 20 minutes walking side by side, shading her from the sun, shielding her from the raccoon that was gonna, I don't know, whatever, She just focused on this moment where there was an elbow to her head. I mean, come on, relax.
No, I actually love that. And I think that's what feels so hard for avoidance. Actually, that's a great point. It actually just made me realize something I've never even seen before, where it's like,
Mm,
I think avoidance, they want to take credit for sitting in discomfort. Like,
mm,
like the fact that they're even in the conversation is like for them,
mm,
and I know for
mm.
myself, because it's like, I always describe it,
Taking notes.
it's like you're getting pop quizzed. You're
Yes,
getting,
yes.
you're getting pop quizzed, and it's not an open book test. You don't even know what, you've never even taken the course, but
You
they're
never
a
heard of the
PhD pop
subjects.
quizzing you. They're a PhD
Yes.
pop quizzing you, and you're just like, to the, and this is my thing, to the point of every woman on the internet. I am in fifth grade. I am a kindergartner, according to everyone else. To your very valid points, and you're going to give me a PhD level pop quiz. Like that's how it feels. And so when we're friends and actually going to
Wow.
take the test, and we're going to fail right in front of you, and it's still a love offering. It's like I'm going to turn it in anyways,
Oh,
and it's just
oh,
like, yeah, that's
you
how it
turned it
feels.
in anyways.
Yeah,
Oh,
and
that's
it's
so
just like I'm still
precious.
gonna, and every time, the presence, and I think, and again, I know that I can say that, and that is maybe the more compassionate way for, like, actually, this is the best way, and this is kind of what I also share with my clients, where it's like the first one of the first things I like to do is just be like, where's the innocence in this for you? Because a lot of avoidant
Yes.
partners never get to focus on that. It's like, where's the innocent part? And oftentimes it is serving in these like instrumental needs and their acts of service, or in the endurance that they do have available. Like they're willing to sit, they're willing to maybe even show up to a coaching session or a counseling, this or that or the third. And for them, that is something that is so alien,
Yeah.
and that in and of itself is an actionable thing. Now, of course, it doesn't automatically just justify the
Hmm.
choices that have been made to keep avoiding up until that point, because I think that is very painful. And I think that's, if anything, I think this is where so much stickiness comes together, because I think in the anxious position, it's like the least you can do,
Yeah.
right? It's like this is the least that you can do in light of the position that I feel forced into, not even by choice.
Hmm.
You at least get to
Hmm.
choose to be alone. You at least get to have the empowerment and the choice to
Yeah.
close the door behind you, lock it behind you, and get your need for independence met. I'm forced into not getting my need met. And that's
Yes.
great injustice that I have. And that's why I really do this work, because I think as someone who's been a fearful avoidant, being in that anxious position, it's 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 torture. Let's just call
Yeah.
it. It
Mm.
is torture. It feels like someone is purposefully rejecting you, and that your
Mm.
lovability is on the line. That you're, and so for me, the thing that I'm like, I tell all my avoidant guys, if you will, and gals, is basically, here's the thing. It's like a finger trap, right? You're moving in closer, And your tendency, I want to get out, I want to get out, but it makes the trap tighter, and you actually have to move in closer, and then you actually get your independence back. But the
Yeah,
caveat
faster.
faster. But the caveat is you do have to arrest yourself to one thing, and that's their well being. You have to be conscious of their well being at all times.
Yeah.
And that's going to feel to you like codependence. It's going to feel to
Yeah.
your nervous system like codependence. But truthfully, that's the one area that they want someone, because that's what a relationship is. It's like, can I safely rely on you that
Mm,
when my world shatters, you're responsive, you're accessible,
yes.
you're
Yes.
available to me. Your world stops because you care about it. And I know this because of personal experience. Like for me, it's like the moment I chose to, I equate it to, the avoidant person's thing is to enter the freezing cold river, where when you get into the river, it's like a thousand knives of sitting in the discomfort of your partner's, overwhelmed, the black hole. You're staring at it. It's like sitting in a river. But when you do it, your body becomes acclimated to it and you get used
Ah,
to it. And just like an ice bath that gives you 400% increase in dopamine for the rest of the day, that's the same thing in your relationship. When you
wow.
endure and see it through and see them and really connect into their heart, which is what they're wanting, all of a sudden it's almost as if the rest of your relationship just blooms and blossoms and just grows, and
Hmm.
this beautiful harmony that happens because you decided to stay in the cold river. So that's kind of like how I like
I
to
love
prop
metaphors.
it up.
So
Yeah.
thank you for speaking in metaphor. That
My
is my
pleasure. Yeah, see, only
that
thing
is my
seems to work.
learning language and my teaching language.
Oh, good.
So
Yeah.
I love that. And I had to learn for him that it's a cold ice river. And it was so funny because, oh, this would piss me off. It would make me so mad when I would feel good to victim mode and then accuse me, right? And the accusation was, you just love this so much. Like you love it. I'll stick with your metaphor. You love the ice river so much that you love paddling in it, swimming in it. You could just float on your back. And I'm like, I also feel the cold, but I feel like it's necessary to get to, like, we need to go save our kids or whatever. Like we have to get through this to get to the other side. And there's a heater and there's a da 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 da. Let's hurry it up so we can get out of here. And so I told him one time, I said, hey, you want to make this faster? And he was a little too excited in his yes. I was like, go away. Not because you want to get through my
Okay.
emotions. All
Yeah.
right.
What?
But if you want to shut this conversation down faster, you need to do XYZ. And it was like it clicked because he was motivated by shutting it down, but I was able to then share with him, but this is what I need. And so one of the things I want to give solutions,
Yeah.
okay, for those who are listening. And I swear, I feel like if we were talking about having empathy for an anxious attacher, this would do numbers. Like we'd
Oh,
be, you know what I mean, over 1,000 easy.
yes.
But we're talking about the spawns of Satan. Wink, wink. I don't feel that way. Um, so there's no love for those people. Um,
Yeah.
but what I told but what I told him was, or what I realized what worked with him is that he was feeling like he was feeling shame. He was feeling like he was inadequate. He was feeling like he could never hit the mark. So what I did was the old sandwich method. You are crushing it here, 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 here. There's a little pickle in there. Work on that pickle. And then you're here, 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 crushing it. So there's a big crushing it sandwich and a little pickle,
Yeah.
and letting him know it's just a tiny little pickle, and that's the only thing. And what's funny is, as you were describing, so I've always kind of felt like an anxiously attached person, but I was actually married previously, and I had those feelings that you felt. I felt like I
Mhm.
was under attack. I felt like I could never do anything wrong. Oh my God, I could go on and on explain. So I had the rare experience of knowing what that feels like.
Mhm.
Um, but because other things were present, which I don't tell people story, it wasn't a quick fix. But I felt that piece of it, and it's discouraging.
Mhm.
And you're paranoid and you're walking on eggshells. So I found when I do this and I make sure I pepper in lots of praise during, other times, it helps that percentage to not feel as big. Like it doesn't seem like it's this huge discrepancy. Kevin is asking avoidance for what? So we're talking about attachment styles in relationships, and one of them is called an avoidant. An avoidant attachment style. They tend to not want to talk about things. They tend to back away and shut down, and it is the polar opposite of the attachment style that is anxious and always seeking closeness. But take a look at that, Google it. It's really fascinating stuff. So I know what it feels like to feel like that. And so I think that what's so helpful, and you're currently married, is that correct?
Yes. Yep.
Okay. I think that what's so helpful, and this is what I coach couples, is you have to constantly remind yourself, my person is not my enemy. Like,
Mm,
this should be my biggest advocate in the world. This should be my best friend. So if they're coming at me, unless you are with a narcissist or just this evil person, they're probably sharing from a place of need,
mm,
not from a place of attacking, trying to make you feel stupid. And I have to say, some people are like that. This is
yeah.
why you cannot pick all willy-nilly, pick someone who's a genuinely nice person. But if you're in a healthy relationship, like I'm assuming you are, like I am, we have to assume the person has our best interest in heart. And so when I share, I say things like, I'm sure you didn't mean anything by this, or you probably didn't know this, or I'm sure you weren't aware. And I use all this language that puts him at ease and tries to help him with the defensiveness. The other thing that I think it's really hard for anxiously attached or securely attached people to understand is that if you don't have emotional intelligence, you are truly speaking another language.
Yeah.
So, what I had to do was express to him and say, when I'm talking to you, you feel calm. There's going to be a point where your body goes,
Wow.
and your claws are going to want to come out, but
Yeah.
that's just an opportunity to get curious. So instead of defending, because if you feel attacked, that's a natural thing you defend. If you consciously know I'm actually not being attacked, but my body's perceiving it that way, you have to have a plan in place. So the plan in place is to say, and we don't say this word, but basically, ouch.
Mm,
And everything has to stop at this moment. And this is where I say, so where I got eaten alive in my comment. You have to actually care. So I actually care. I'm invested. I don't want to throw the whole person away. I actually want to like break through and get to him. So it requires a lot of work on my part, but it's so worth it because he's a freaking amazing person. So those who want to try this, who say don't try this at home, please do try this at home. So you will see, as the emotionally intelligent person, you will see body language. So it might look like this. They can't make eye contact with you anymore. That happens a lot with shame or anger, right? Like they'll look away. They might pick up their phone, start to distract themselves from things. They might actually say, I don't want to talk anymore. But if you're really perceptive, you're going to see like a jaw clench. You're going to see arms get folded. You're going to see this gesture. You're going to see all, he hates that I can see all this stuff. And so if I catch it before he realizes he's having an ouch moment, I'll pause everything and go, what what's happening for you right now?
mm.
What are you feeling? And then he can say, I feel attacked. I feel this. I feel like nothing's ever good enough. And then I can speak to that specific wound before we get back to talking about ice cream.
Yeah.
And so it feels frustrating and it feels unjust. Sounds like an son, right?
Yeah.
Thank you so much, Gilbert. Let me know which one you identify with if you're dealing with an avoidant or you are the avoidant. Um, but it does take a lot of work on our part. But if we are the master, the master's degree level of emotional intelligence, and we got the full box of crayons, that would be stupid to ask the person with two crayons to draw the painting. So with great was it responsibility, wait, with great power comes great responsibility. That's how I have to look at it. And so in this way, I'm a little bit stronger than him, but he has made major strides. And that's what I also want people to see. You can grow. If you have a loving partner who's going to gently walk you through, you will radically change. And also, I was able to explain when it was somebody else, hey, this is exactly what's happening. And then he could see it clearly because it wasn't him. And I kind of wonder if it was like that when you were saying, how would I feel if she was describing me to a new guy? Like when
Yeah.
you take yourself out of it, it's like, oh, she says this, she shuts down, you know. Um, and so that's been super helpful. And so just seeing him be able to recognize in the moment now, I'm feeling something. And then me being able to calm it down. And then I'll say things like, we're almost done. I'll let him know like it's a certain we're gonna limit it to a certain amount of time. So try to recap because I'm so long-winded.
No, this is great.
I
I'm
sandwich,
like,
thank you. I know, right? No, I'm literally taking notes with you. I sandwich, I do the you're so great, you're so kind, you're so blah blah blah. This one little thing, and then you're really, really great and I love you. And then just sandwich it, right? And then two, let him know that I'll even say this. There's something I want to share with you. This is something that I need. This is not an attack, even though your body might start to tell you it's an attack. It's not. I want to give you the cheat code because I know you want to make me happy. And if you had more information, you could get to it faster. I'll give him that. And then I've also recently tried physical soothing too. So actually like giving him affection while doing that because it's hard to think that somebody's your enemy when they're rubbing your back or they're massaging your hand,
yeah,
or even kissing on your neck in between. Don't really like this.
yeah.
Really,
That's so
it's
sweet.
hard. Your brain's like,
Yeah, totally.
yeah, and then praise when they do it. So when he does, that's the thing I forgot. Go freaking nuts when he does it.
Oh
Oh
yeah,
my God, we got through a conversation. You didn't get defensive. You listened. When I shared what I shared, you didn't take it as an attack. You pushed through the feelings and then you hugged it out because I like to hug it out at the end, especially if it gets tense. Oh my God, that was amazing. I feel so safe with you. And then you get
yeah,
the reward, sensation. But that has worked. And I think that more people would be able to. And I've experimented with couples doing this in real time. And the avoidants are like, oh my God, I feel seen.
wow.
Oh my God, I feel seen. And then you start to see that they're not this evil gremlin, but they're really a little child, like holding a little blanket, like, please don't think I'm terrible. But the irony is that we're going, you're terrible, because we don't
Yeah.
understand you. Vicious
Can
cycle.
I have so much? Can I ask you the questions that just honestly popped
Yeah.
into my own brain that I would love to
Yeah.
ask you? Because what I mistakenly made a video. I don't know if you've ever done this. You make a mistake in a video where I
Oh,
was like one of my tags, and I regret it. I want to take it down, but it performed well, and it provided
that's the
enough.
worst.
It provided enough hope that I couldn't take it down, even though I like want to take it down. Scratch my face, hold my throat, like energy right now. But like it was the one where I said like, here's how to get an avoidant partner to listen without having to do their emotional labor, and everyone
Yes.
was like tuned
I think I
in,
saw that one.
and it was just like I got lit up because I was trying not to like use the precious time of the video to explain how I didn't want it to be emotional labor and which parts were and were not, and I just was like just gonna leave it up to the internet, and the internet saw right through it as it should have. And I was like, yeah, okay, I'm gonna take an L on this one. It's all right. Like, I wish
How dare
this
you?
is a little. I could have sussed it out, but then no one's gonna watch it. No one's gonna watch the video where you're
No,
actually sussing out your disclaimer.
no,
Sorry, no one's gonna do that.
no.
So my
Mm-mm.
my question to you is like, what is how do you philosophical? Because for me, it's the philosophy of like
Okay.
not even maybe philosophy mindset, whatever you want to say, but like how do you help people in the anxious position navigate through that? Because
Hmm.
I think that's something I struggle with where I'm like, I want to help them and be like, here's how you can connect to your avoidant partner. But then I just know it's going to be like, it's not my job, not my emotional labor. It's his. And
Yeah,
I'm like,
yeah.
I'm with you. I really, like, my whole page is dedicated to you. But like, what do you say to that? How do you
I feel
understand
like
that?
I can't tell you this on a live stream. I feel like I have to slide in your DM and tell you
Okay.
because
Okay.
they might watch. Okay, but
The
hopefully they
pitchforks are
won't.
watching, right?
Yeah, yeah. And then they're gonna know how they got bamboozled.
Yeah.
Okay, so hopefully they don't watch this and only avoidants watch this.
Yeah.
So this is what I said. Oh God, I think exactly how I said it. But it's basically reverse psychology. So it's oh God, I literally had a script. It was like basically if you could understand, oh God, I feel like I need to go back. But it essentially was like positioning them as the more intellectual person, and you're gonna be able to get what you want. Like you're basically gonna be able to get what you want from the avoidant if you can get inside their head and know what they're thinking. Because if you can get inside someone's head, you totally can manipulate them.
Oh my gosh. Yeah, that
So
Makes a
then
lot
when
of
I do
sense.
the conversation, and then
That's so
so then when you talk to the avoidant, right? And then but then they say, but I don't even know how I can get my man on the call because it's usually the guy. God, I'm giving all the secrets.
I
Okay,
know.
please don't anybody like screen record this. So this is how you get the guy or the avoidant on there. Um, I have somebody who finally understands why you're so frustrated with me and why I pissed you off so much.
Oh
But
my
they're
gosh,
really
that's
good at
gold.
communicating it to where I can finally understand how I'm the problem. It works.
Oh my. Oh
So
my
both people
god.
show up because they want to feel like the anxious wants to get what she needs, and the avoidant wants to finally not be seen as the devil. And so what ends up happening is the man ends up crying. Like it is such a relief for him to be like, I'm not a monster. And then she looks at him and she's like, oh my God, he's not a monster. And now I have the tools on how to help him help me. And it's beautiful. That's why I'm like, I wish I could like travel the world and just like free people because there's so many people in that anxious, avoidant dynamic who actually love each other. Like there was a couple, I don't think they'll be bad I share this, but there was a couple and he was feeling something like that. You guys feel very strong feelings, but I don't think you just can't articulate them. So it was what I call the perfect storm. And this is why I say it's a spiritual thing because it's too. I feel like it's like the Scooby Doo thing, like like they pulled the little thing up. Like, come on, you know it's the enemy. So she had a situation where she was frustrated, had nothing to do with him, but the way that she spoke, he perceived her him. He perceived that she was mad at him, to which he reacted, to which she reacted, and it just kept blowing up. So when we were able to unpack it, we were able to discover the very first thing that triggered everything was her being pissed off by somebody who wasn't even in the room. Like it was a totally different person. So I let him know it's your responsibility. So she answered the phone kind of short tempered because she was agitated. And that was his opportunity to say, I feel something. I don't like it. And even if you can't fully unpack it, then she could say, oh my gosh, I'm so sorry. I did kind of snap. I'm mad because da 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 just happened before you called me. So helping couples to realize when you first feel that first twinge, identify it. And then you have to come shoulder to shoulder facing that thing versus face to face, which means you're at the end of my gun. And
Yeah.
so, hey, I'm feeling this. I didn't care for the way you answered the phone. It made me feel and speak about I. It made me feel like you didn't want to talk to me. And then she said, "Oh my God, if we because we go back in Monday morning quarterback." She said, "I would have been like, oh my God, no, I actually loved wanted to talk to you. I was just so frustrated because of this call that had just happened." And so usually when we go back, there's just this misunderstanding. But because there's this story that's happening in our brain, I'm not good enough. I'm not good enough. I'm not good enough. Again, of course I'm not good enough. She's irritated to talk to me. And then on her end, he shuts down. He shuts down. Well, he acted funky the rest of the night. Well, obviously, because he felt like you basically said you're a loser. So it's just like once you realize it's the same loop over and over again, it's almost comical and you're like we're not gonna get got again, and then you become like these ghostbusters, the two of you, and you're just like, "Well, not falling for that again, I know this one," you know and but it's this constant loop and it just goes to I'm not lovable and I'm not good enough, which ironically I'm not good enough could end up resulting in ultimately I'm not lovable
Yes.
because I'm so shameful.
Yes.
Yeah.
You just, I mean, the way, I mean, my jaw was on the floor.
It was
Like,
mutual, friends.
I just was like, you're so right about how you framed that.
Mm.
Just for anyone who just joined on, basically, if you're like, I mean, not to spill your secrets, because this is like you're probably like trademark, like you
I'm like,
could, I know,
well, because if
like,
they know they're being manipulated, they're gonna be like, I know this.
yeah, because all these avoidants are going to watch right now. I'm sure
Oh
like all
yeah.
these avoidants who are super into this stuff. But I mean, maybe if you are here, but all of it to say, like, I would like the fact that you're like, no, it's about getting inside his head to get the thing that you're ultimately wanting, and it's just like steering away from that idea of just like, why is it my job? Why is it my job? Why is it my job? It's almost like, okay, you want this thing instead of seeing it through this perspective. Let's just see it through this other one, and I love that because I think that's very like It, number one, it's super crafty. It seems super crafty. It seems like it absolutely would work, and I'm like,
Oh, it would.
come on.
Yes, please message me and let me know the next time you try it. Because the other thing is, and this is very politically incorrect, but it's like a handicapped person, right? Like a person. I don't know that I want to be politically correct. A
A person
non
with special needs or disabilities,
special
a
needs,
person.
right?
Yeah.
Right. So if you knew a person had like something with their leg, you would never ask them to run a marathon. It's kind of like how you were saying
Yeah.
the different levels or whatever. So if that person can understand, which strokes their ego, it's not that you have to do so much more work. You don't have the disability. The problem is they don't even know they have a disability. So you're letting that person know that, hey, it's like somebody who's too short. You're asking them to reach the high cabinet they can't reach. So, yes, you do have to
Wow.
take the extra step, get the step stool, put it underneath their feet. But guess what? Now he can get it for you. And that's what you wanted, right? You wanted him to get it for you. I'd rather take the 2 seconds to get the step stool so that my partner could actually reach because now I'm getting what I wanted all along.
Yeah.
Um, and this is where we have to really look at our hearts. And this goes beyond, avoidant, anxious. There's a lot of, I hate to say this, but as women, we lack a lot of empathy for men. And I think part of it is because in our minds, you guys are just these strong, stoic, nothing hurts you. So kind of like the kid who's like pounding on the parent, like it's not actually hurting them. But the reality is like you get the right toy, it might actually, do some damage. Um, not realizing how fragile you guys can be, which that word, men hate that word. So sorry, I don't
No,
mean it
it's no,
rudely, but
no, it's true.
but
Yeah.
you
Oh,
guys
it's true.
have vulnerabilities. Like as much
Yeah.
as you want to be, but you have vulnerabilities. You have soft
Yeah.
spots, and so I'll say things sometimes to women, and it actually breaks my heart at the not just disregard, the aggressive
Yeah.
vitriol wrapped around the disregard. Like
Yeah.
them, who cares? They better grow up. And I'm like, I think the best relationships are when, if, let's say, if it's me and you, I can see you as a man, however old you are, but I can also see you as a little boy curled up in
Yeah.
the fetal position, and you see me as a full-grown woman, almost 45 years old. No, I am 45, 45 years old. I was like, wait, I'm too old. But you can also see me as the little girl in the fetal position, and so seeing those needs, and I think that there's constantly this swinging pendulum swinging of I'm the mommy helping the little boy and you. Sometimes you're the daddy helping the little girl and me. And sometimes we're totally peers. But if you're very intelligent, you can slip into those seamlessly. And I think there's a reason why we have the tradition we have visually during the wedding where the dad hands off the daughter to the husband because you are taking that role of the father, and sometimes when she's hurting you got to come in and comfort her and do all those things that the dad would do. And so I think we have to stop acting like there's something wrong with you because you have little boy moments and there's something wrong with me for having little girl moments. I think it's just how we handle it. Now if I'm kicking and screaming and calling you names because I'm upset, that is where it's a problem. But if I calmly say to you, hey baby, I'm really struggling with this. This is tapping into a raw nerve. This is really triggering my feeling that I'm not loved. When you, duh, 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 that's okay. And so what I say to him is, I need my big, strong man right now. I
Mhm.
said, just like you wouldn't see me hurting somewhere on the side of the road and just blow past it, I need you to see me that way. I have a need. And even though you're the one who kind of caused it, so to speak, I still need you to show up in that way and be my hero. And
Mhm.
so it helps him to turn this on. I'm like, you're the only person who has the ability to mend this particular wound. Or I have this particular need. Let's say it's not something he did wrong, but it's something that I need from him. I need quality time from you. I need to feel like there's a time in the day, in the week, that nothing else matters. I'm your only priority. I'm your only concern. No TV, no phone, no nothing. And you're the only one who could scratch that itch. And then that kind of puts it in position of like, oh, I'm the only one. Because it's true.
Yeah. Yeah.
I mean, I'm not looking to outsource anytime
Yeah.
soon. So
Yeah. Yeah. I feel like the piece where I feel like avoidant partners often kind of miss is the well, I love I hold on, you said so many good things. I'm trying to like catch the ball, so to speak. But coming back to what you said about, I want to respond to like the part where you were like talking about like for men, they just don't have this kind of evolved ability necessarily to be emotionally like connected. And
Mm,
I think what I notice in that for so many men is like they like most men like I get the most beautiful, most innocent parts of men who experience
yes.
avoidance. Like I really
Yes.
do. I get to see them in their most like vulnerable, fragile state. And of course, like I also take it with a grain of salt. I'm like, yeah, you're telling me the good side of the story, bro,
Right.
and I know it, you know. But
Right.
I think to your point about like, I think the outrage from the anxious position, if especially with women, I think that breaks my heart too. Like
Hmm.
I've been really trying to figure that out, and I love how it's so nice to talk to someone who I think who's had a lot of experience and has really been thoughtful in this area because
Mm,
I think that's something I'm trying to like really grasp onto. But yet, to your point, I think there's so much anger, and for me, I just go, how can there not be? I've been in the anxious position. It's a
hmm.
very angry place to be, and so to your point, where it's like, how do you kind of reframe your own perspective of your partner in a way that helps humanize them? I think there's one thing, I don't know what your thoughts are on this too, but the thing that I often find with, and especially when I do couples, where I think the fear, and this is the other caveat, where the over compromising in the anxious position, where you've over compromised,
Yes.
and you've over
Yes.
compromised already on your needs so much that you've also done all the
Yes.
compassionate work. I have a lot of clients,
Hmm.
most of the clients who are anxious in the anxious position for me, they tend to be like, I have so much compassion and I've
Yes.
overcompromised, where it's like it's that whole kind of the journey. I heard this somewhere and I loved it, where it's like in general, oftentimes the for men their spiritual kind of journey in life is to shed ego, and
Hmm.
I find that's through atonement, right? Like it's
Hmm.
think of the Disney archetype of like the boy who's like, I'm right, and dad says, no, you're not, and he's like, no, I'm right, and then the boy grows up and realizes dad was right the whole time.
Yeah.
What's the women's archetype? Well, usually it's like a Moana or a Mulan, where it's like, I have
Hmm.
this deep intuition, I have this inner wisdom,
Mm.
and then father and society says, no, you can't. This is the way it's always
Right.
been. But they listen to it and they stick with that intuition, and they actually step into their reclamation, their voice and their power. And that's the spiritual
Mm.
journey for women. It's actually to stand
Yeah.
in your full space as opposed to shrinking back
Yes.
down. And
Yes.
I
We
think
don't have
like,
enough, and you guys have too
yeah,
much.
it's like we have to kind of come back to center by like
Uh-huh.
toning down, like shedding ego. Whereas like for women, it's to actually grow their ego, to grow their voice.
Yes.
And I think what I've noticed, and this is actually true for me, I just get so discouraged because I think avoidant partners, it takes so much to break through that armor. It just to the true like source level transformation that I think most partners long for. I think there's like
Hmm.
I try to just go for all. I'm like, I'm gonna go for the home run with this avoidant partner because I want them to be secure and attuned and like aware. So from like, how can I just absolutely get the best version out of this person? And
Hmm.
I love hearing your approach is so um it's beautiful. It's like this beautiful like really like is zooming in on these wins and these truer stories or narratives of what's also happening inside of them, like really humanizing
Hmm.
and zooming in. And I love that. I'm gonna borrow that too, some like philosophically.
Yeah, yeah.
But I think the other part that I've noticed, and this because this is what worked for me, is standing in the full truth of it all. Is when I see an anxious partner absolutely stand, because a lot of
Hmm.
them I've overcompromised. I've not stood my ground. It's calm and serious, full truth.
Hmm.
Full
Yeah.
truth down this in my centered self. I'm gonna stand on my full truth of like, hey, I'm calm and serious about what my needs are and then what my wants are. And in that calm, serious, like, and here's
You nailed it.
the need is like the thing that I'm not going
Hmm.
to feel sane. I'm not going
Hmm.
to feel secure. I'm not going to feel safe. This won't be a pleasant marriage. This won't be a pleasant relationship.
Yes.
And so it's like,
Yes.
if these are not met, I'm going to be angry at you, and you're going
Hmm.
to experience these behaviors from me. And but it's also like playing with fire. I notice, because I
Yeah.
think that's the dilemma. I'm like, I'm in the weeds of all these little dilemmas of like all these dynamics, and I think I notice that this is one of them, where it's like you're like sometimes it's like I know I heard I don't know who this would be online, but I think there's one creator online who their strategy to deal with the avoidant partner is radical matching of the energy, radically matching energy for
Mm.
energy, and it's just going to position that person in an
Mm.
absolute eyes open, like, oh my gosh, I'm seeing this for the first time. And I think what I love about what you're sharing is this famous example my dad shared with me a long time ago, where it's how do you move a wrecking ball?
Mm,
And you get the
mm.
strong man up there with a sledgehammer, and they get the wrecking ball. It's like, how do you get it to start moving? And he goes, it just smashes the wrecking ball, and it just wobbles in place, but it just stays still. Whereas the little widow, who's 92, comes up, hunchback with her rocker, goes up and just starts poking it. And as she pokes it over time, slowly but surely, the momentum
You gonna make
changes.
me holler.
And I feel
Hmm.
like you're the wit. You're like the little widow who's like, we're just gonna slowly poke at this thing. And I actually like love that like love that imagery for your approach. I feel like that could be
The
really
fighting fire with fire does not work.
yeah,
No shame to that person.
yeah,
For me, let me say it this way: it did
yeah,
not work for me.
yeah,
Because if my partner thinks I'm the threat and I raise my voice and I get more emotional, I've confirmed his fear. I
yeah,
am a threat.
yeah.
And so this is where, like, the year 2025 is my year to learn how to stay on my square. Because all the way up until now, I have said I can stay calm and composed as long as you don't, whatever my trigger is. So for me, my triggers, I've said it a million times on YouTube, don't talk over me and don't raise your voice. You do those two things, all bets are off. That is how I have a safe space. I need to come to you and I need to express without being hindered. So I've purged. Now show me that you care and we can come up with an action plan. That is how I was raised. That is how I calm my nervous system. If I come to you and I try to express, I can't even get it out because you're shutting me down. You don't even know what my concern is. You just proved that you don't love me, because how can you take care of me if I'm trying to read you the owner's manual for me and you don't even, you throw it in the trash? I'm trying to give you, and I always say this: there are so many women who don't know what they're thinking. There are so many women who don't know how to articulate themselves. I am not that person. I can give you bullet points. I can give you subheadings. I can give you a cute little glossy cover. What you want to know how to make me happy? It is not a mystery. I am not an enigma. Feed me, water me, da da da. Like, I give you my list, and that's it. If I give you that list so clearly, and you still don't do it, that tells me you don't love me. That's how my brain works.
Mm,
So I'll give you grace. Maybe you forgot this one, but if you don't let me even tell you what those instructions are, that says I don't care. So I had a situation where I tried. I matched the energy, and it was our worst fight we ever had. Like, it was bad. It was bad because the person who can't see themselves and is not emotionally regulated, you've just not given them excuse to just take whatever lid there was and just pop it off like, oh, this is what we're doing. And that's why I say, do not fight fire with fire. And I teach this on my course. I have a course for women. Ladies, it's sexy. Fire is sexy. It's hot. It's,
oh my gosh, yeah.
leave that for men. There's a time and a place for fire. Baby, you are water. And before you think, oh, water, water, that's so Chinese torture technique.
Oh,
Think about the ocean, the flood that just came to Texas. Like, all these people died instantly, right? Like, honey, we have a different power. And don't try to do, you got to use subtlety. So for me, I have found, and this has shown me where my shortcomings are. I get majorly frustrated when I don't have my ability to speak the way I want, right? Let me get it out without being interrupted, and then coddle me, and then say the plan of moving forward and give me a hug. That's what I want. When I don't get that, my nervous system goes haywire. Heart starts beating. I get tightness in my chest, a knot in my stomach. Like, I am on fire. I call it on fire. But to still stand through that and keep my voice calm, I feel like I'm training for the Olympics. So what I will do is I will say, okay, I'm on fire right now, but my voice is not going to be raised. I will say that my voice is not going to be raised.
mm,
This is what I need. I will continue when XYZ is going to happen. This is not, I'm not happy with this. I won't pretend to be okay. And then he gets to make the choice if he wants to join me in that space. And I think the thing, you were asking a question about, like, what do you do with the person who feels like they've given and given and given and given? Absolutely. I wrote it down. Was you said calm and serious. You
mm.
have to be calm. The same way you could not go in a lion's den and, like, oh my god, that thing would eat you. Like, it's like dealing with a wild animal, and not to dehumanize them, but they don't have the tools to calm down any more than a lion knows. He has to be taught. So you have to be calm. So if you think it's worth it, first you got to say, is it worth it? Is this a relationship that I'm willing to put work in? And for me, it is, because he has everything else that's amazing. So is it willing to put in the work? Yes. But two, you got to get their cosign when they're sober. And I mean emotionally sober. They're not agitated and flailing. So you could say, hey, I know we have different needs. I notice that you tend to shut down or you get whatever. Is this something that you would like to work on? If they're like, no, I don't have any problems. You just need to get yourself together. That, honey, that's not something you should be dealing with anyway. But if they say, yes, I really struggle. I don't know what the solution is. Cool. We just need that first step to admit you maybe have a problem. And then from there, you could try those techniques of, hey, I just saw something. I know, like, are you feeling on edge? Are you feeling anxious? And what you're going to find is that if you ask them in the moment, what did you just hear? Like, I thought I just said, that's a cool haircut, and you just said shut up. I'm like, something happened. You can hear, I felt like you were being sarcastic and clowning my haircut. Oh, and then I have to be humble and say, oh my God, I don't know what you made you think. That's not what I meant at all. And just reassure. So there's a lot of humility that has to come in, and you have to be very motivated to get to the other side. Because if you're always trying to win the
You
fight,
lose the heart. Winning the fight loses the heart, and it's just like so devastating to be on the other side of. This is actually so helpful because I think for
yay.
me, like, in as someone who's been in the anxious position in my life, the anger is real, and you just want to show it. And there been moments that it seems like the most appropriate option, sure. But it's like
Mhm.
even when I did it, yeah, you're like I talked my talk, but it was almost like I had to come back and do it the calm version
No,
anyways.
seriously.
You know what
And
I'm
you know
saying?
what's
Like I
crazy?
had to.
We're mad at, so we'll go the avoidant, the anxious. The anxious person's mad at the avoidant because they can't push through all of their feelings, which they don't always have feelings. They can't push through all their feelings to show up in the way that is needed. But the anxious person is not able to push through all their feelings and show up in the way that is needed. And the avoidant person needs calm and short
Yeah, they do.
and few. That was the other piece I forgot to give. I tell my girls, whether you're in a relationship with an anxious avoidant or not, or if you're dealing with a man, choose your battles, write it down in the moment, don't share it in the moment. If a couple days later it's not a big deal, let it go. If a couple days later it's still a big deal, say it when it's a peaceful time. Hey, there were just a couple things that I wanted to go over with you, and get in and say it as a few words as possible.
Wow.
We as women, we like to go, okay, so last week and I was already upset, and we give all these words, and you guys are like,
Yeah.
just cut to, you didn't stand up for me. I felt like you didn't stand up for me at my aunt's house. Boom. That's really what it's stripped. If you could strip down your problem into one sentence, you would keep their attention span so much longer. And then, so you tell them what the problem is, and then you give them a clear plan of action. The problem is that we really don't think you're that naive. We're like, you guys are playing stupid. There's no way, because we have a master's. There's no way you don't know this is chartreuse. You're like, is it blue? Come on, buddy. You know this is, but you really don't. You're like, that looks close. So state the problem. I didn't feel like you stood up for me at my aunt's house. What I would like in the future is if somebody says something against me, to please say, please don't talk to my wife that way, or check in with me. Like, whatever the thing is, you have to get the solution. And a lot of times when I deal with couples, I'll ask her when she says she's upset, well, what's the solution? And she goes, and I said, my dear, if you are the person and you don't know what the solution is to your hurt, how could someone outside of you know the solution? So I need to come to you and da da da, and then you just get the cosign. Are you willing to do this? There's no need to like chastise. You're so terrible. Blah, blah, blah. Just, this is what happened. This did not feel good. In the future, I prefer this. Are you willing to do that? Move on and shift the energy. No sulking, no this, no that, because it's already heavy. That's already heavy enough for the avoidant or any person. And so I think we want to go on and express and express and express, and that person's just like,
Oh my gosh. You just made me a better coach. I mean, seriously, I feel like this is like, I'm
oh, I
like
love
sitting,
that.
it's like one of those things where I'm just like, kind of just like, what, I'm like just receiving because I'm like, this is excellent. Because for me, it's like,
Aw.
I primarily deal on the other side of things, and it's usually just like so much just like, what was that like for you? What was that?
Speak unicorn.
Yeah, yeah. I always look at them and I look at my boyfriend. I'm like, and what did you feel right there? You know, but it's more, it's more of just like, it's more of just like, okay, and you feel angry. And so when that happened, what was going on? Like, what did that mean? Do you think? I'm just like trying to like walk them through it, slow it down a little bit. And I'm like, yeah, okay. So, and I'm always just like, this is what they want. Like, they want
Yeah.
you to be conscious and aware. They want you to participate in the feelings with them. They want you to almost as if feel it with, feel
Yeah.
it with them a little bit. Like, that's the ultimate expression of what
Yeah.
you could offer to them. And for you, it's, you have all these blocks. And so we just got, it's like you're in the hospital, but we just got to take all those cords off, kind of energy. And it's like, and all these are like these stories and views because it's like you're teaching them almost like how to see this in a way that's going to be productive for them. And I think
Yes.
for them it helps them to see that this is a wider phenomenon than just them too, where it's like,
Mm-hmm.
hey,
Mm-hmm.
it's not just you. Like, I'm gonna tell you, this is what happens to everyone. Oh yeah, you too, buddy. Okay, cool, let's work on it. It's just like for them it's like, I think it gives them that pressure, and I almost get them giggling too, I think.
Yeah.
Because I'm
I want to get
like,
like a secret society of avoidance together and just like meet like folks for, like
yeah, it's like because too, I think it needs to be like light to your point, where
yes.
if it's just like, okay, if I'm, because even just like treating them like they're this perpetrator, all of a sudden it's
Yeah.
just like out the window. It's like, no, this is a phenomenon that's happening in your life. You're learning about it for the first
Mhm.
time. Let me guess. She's a PhD. She prop quiz you. I do all the same bits, and I'm more like,
And she
oh
sounds
my
like Charlie Brown's teacher
gosh.
for 20 minutes.
Yeah. Yeah, totally.
Very animated towards the end. Yeah.
Yeah, it's just, and I think for me the thing that still is the challenge, and I think it's just, I think for them it's really seeing it through, because for them it's like any one wrong turn and it's over. And obviously for them it's not like they can sit there and coach. Coaching their partner's a little bit out of the equation. It's like they can't even. That's a luxury question. It's like
You
they're
mean
dealing with,
for the avoidant?
yeah, for the avoidance.
Yeah.
It's not like they can be like, hey, like, honey, and I mean, I
Oh,
will
right.
have,
Right.
some experiences where, I'll have a guy here or there be like, yeah, like it was actually really helpful when you told me that, like, this is just like, no matter what, like I'm flooded, when I'm
Mm-hmm.
flooded, like I'm going to see stars, and it's literally not going to help me. And so if you can just like make it shorter, like I actually had a guy like a week
Yeah.
ago even report that, because I was just like, yeah, try to ask for it like in a more short version of it, and not because
Yes.
the more elaboration is just you're sitting there like
Or
just
even
digging more into
text.
the wound. Yeah, it's just I love that you had that, like the clarity that I think that you're bringing to this
Mm-hmm.
principle. For me, it's just like, oh my gosh, yes, okay, so I am on the right track with this.
Yeah.
Part of you is like,
And I
am I
think we,
doing this right? Like,
right. I think I love that. And, again, and it's mutual. Like, I'm going to go back and watch it because I'm like, there was so much you were saying. I'm like writing as fast as I can
yeah,
and still trying to be present and a good host. But
you did
when
great.
you said flooded, I think there needs to be more language,
Hmm.
like more language for the avoidant, because the problem is they don't have language. They don't know how to express. They just know, I don't like this. I don't like this. I don't like this. I don't, that's it. And then, of course, you're going to get frustrated. And so if they, my guy doesn't use the word flooded, but I love that.
Yeah,
He uses a version of it, which I can't think of what it's called, but it's letting me know like he's
yeah,
drowning. And so it's so important. I think the biggest thing, I think if more people just knew what was happening on the other person's end, it wouldn't change how frustrated you are, but you would at least be like,
yeah,
oh, it would take away the monster. It would make you feel empathy. I'm still frustrated, but I can at least empathize with what you're going through. And then it gives me hope in knowing if I can put on your oxygen mask, eventually you'll get your breath and then you could save me. Because that's what I'm ultimately need. I need you to show up for me. But you're flailing and you can't breathe. I at least have the ability to grab the oxygen mask. So if he's feeling, if he's overwhelmed, and I was, joking about the text message, it actually worked. We actually had a whole conversation via chat GPT and it started to go left. I decided to text him. When I realized what happens is he doesn't get as flooded because he has time to think about his answer. He went to ChatGPT, said his thing. I went back. I said, well, this still doesn't work for me because went back. He gave his, and it was funny because we were telling each other, like, we know this is ChatGPT, but he was able to say it his own way, and ChatGPT made it more palatable in how he texted me. So now it's kind of like a joke. I'm like, should we start texting each other? You know, if there's an issue, to keep it from being volatile. But they just need to know the tools. So I'm being flooded. The sometimes they need a moment just to collect their thoughts or like calm themselves down. And so I think what people do is, this is the biggest thing people get mad at with avoidance. They will just stop everything. It's not a pause, it's a hard stop and a start doing something else. So I heard one guy say he realized his wife was an avoidant, so they had an agreement. If she needs a pause, she cannot go entertain herself. And I was like,
That's great.
she truly needs to go do the work. Like, it's like practically sitting in a corner, and whatever you need to do, like you tell your kid, go take a time out. This is not go play video games, go chat with your girlfriend, go grocery shopping. Like, no, you should be doing nothing but being alone with your thoughts, calming yourself down. And I will say this, there is a child in our, we'll say our situation, and exact human being, like copy paste. And it's beautiful to be able to see him, to be able to see the other person, like, this is me, like, to the T. And I hear him saying verbiage that I say, and I'm just like, I'm
Oh,
like half fraud parent and then half like, so you do understand. But it's easy when it's outside of yourself, you know, because I say things like, uh, even if your mouth doesn't say it, your body gives you away. So if
yeah.
you might be thinking this is so stupid, you didn't say it. Oh, but your body language did, through the eye rolls and the huffing and all that stuff. So I say you may as well just say it through your mouth. Like, let's address it because I can pick up on it. And so he now sees it, you know, in other people. But there was something you asked me I wanted to touch on. Oh, giving them
Mm.
verbiage, so letting them know when they're flustered and overwhelmed. And so give it a specific amount of time. And so with my guy, he'll say, can I have 10 minutes to decompress? 10 minutes. And that means we're going to come back and we're going to talk about it. And then on the anxious person's side, limiting it. If you have to actually set a timer, this is not going to go past 15 minutes, but it actually needs to be talked about, not just stalling, you know, on
Yeah.
the avoidance side. But I want people to know that, because I have held you up so long.
This has been
Um,
great.
Oh, I'm glad.
Yeah.
I want anxious people to know that, I mean, I keep jokingly saying it, but anxious people, avoidant people are not the devil. They are not evil. They are not monsters. They are not over here. I've
No,
ripped out the heart of another person.
they don't know how to
They
plan.
are somebody who's flailing. You said
They don't
what?
know how to plan to even be malicious. I mean, it's just like they're not even, they're in a
It's
nothing
not
mode.
that deep.
Yeah.
Yes, yes. And some guy said, when you see me and I look deep in thought, he goes, understand, if you could put a microphone in my brain, it would be radio
Yeah.
silence.
It's just
He's like, there's nothing.
flaw thing in there. Just, yeah. Just,
Is your
yeah.
white noise.
Yeah. Just,
Oh
it's
my God.
mushy
So,
meditative thoughts, but that's it.
mhm, mhm. So just understand there's no animosity, that they are flailing, but they are not expressive. So they're flailing almost like an autistic person. They're still experiencing all the emotions you are, but they're not verbal. They can't say it. And so that should help. I think that shifts the energy. An avoidant is also going to pick up on the energy of the anxious person. And if an anxious person is anxious, that makes you anxious. Being around an anxious person, you're going to want to get away from that. So we all need to do our work to come towards the center, calming down. That's why I say I'm working in the year 2025 to be peaceful, even when I'm pissed off.
I love that.
I had a stressor right before I was 2 minutes late. A stressor right before, and I'm like, it's my job to do the work. And I started doing exercises, different things. I believe in the power of speech. I'm like, it's going to be okay. I could still move forward with the live stream, even though my body is telling me this, da 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 da. And I calmed down within like minutes of the conversation. So we have work to do on our side too. You know, I don't want to say team anxious, like that's a good thing, but the anxious, the anxious people have work to do, and the avoidance obviously have work to do. And if you're an avoidant, come find us because we want to help.
Um, we got you.
We got you.
We got you.
Come to our secret tribe,
Yeah,
tribe meetings.
totally.
Oh my God. Have you seen that show Trader on
I
Peacock?
have not. No, I have not.
I wish you had just so you could know this image, but they have out of like 30 people, two people that are traders, and they're just it's kind of like Duck Duck Goose, but you just secretly tell them you're the traders. They don't know when they come on
Oh
the show,
yeah.
but they go in the middle of the night and have their secret meetings and have these cloaks, and then there's like this little fire
Oh,
pit.
it's
And it's
like
very like
mafia.
yes, it's
Ah,
like that. And I was thinking about that with the avoidance, all of them gathered around like avoidance.
oh my gosh.
We're going to give you.
Yeah, yeah. They definitely find their way to me that because they're just they come out of their hiding and they're just like, my wife has sent me your videos. It's like that's how it happens every time. I'm like, yeah, I know. It's like I'm like
You're
80
safe,
20.
brother.
Yeah, 80% of my following is female, and they all send their stuff to their man, and they're like, "Gosh, your videos were exactly me," and I'm like, I know,
Yes,
you're the
yes,
right address."
we're here.
Yeah,
Oh my God. I love this. I love
so
this. Well,
fun,
this
so
was
good.
awesome. Um, I definitely am gonna probably have more comments to say under your videos. You guys make sure
Thank
you follow him on his page. He's got a lot of great videos, very empathetic, very compassionate. Please don't
you.
come out with pitchforks. It's Drew Daniels
Thank
on
you.
Instagram.
Aw.
And he's got a lot to offer. Do you have any closing remarks, sir?
Closing remarks, man, I don't think so. Honestly, nothing is like jumping out to me except I think maybe to put a bow on it, just to like I think the compassion perspective has saved me on both sides. Like, I think at the end of the day, a very comforting thought. One of my favorite creators says this, but it's like every decision someone's trying to make is because they're trying to pursue some state of love, safety, and belonging within themselves. Every decision that they've ever made has been calculated through every relationship they've ever been embedded in, every experience they've ever had, and they truly believe that what they're doing is the shortest path to love, safety, belonging, and connection. And it just might be misguided. And I
I
think
love that.
if you put someone in an environment where safety is truly, truly available as an option, they'll choose it every time. People
I
will, every
yeah.
time. And I think when you see that, and for me, that's just been the joy, I think, is like whether you're anxious, whether you're avoidant, both people come to life when they go, wow, the experience I have won't be judged. It's just going to be empathized with as a human one that we all have. And I think that's my final words is
I
somewhere in there,
love
no
that.
matter how malicious, there is someone's trying, as you said, I think raising their voice because
Mhm.
they have a younger need that needs to be met and they don't know how to get it. So I just want to echo
I
that.
love that. I love that. And I want to say to the woman who's feeling overwhelmed or stressed or what have you, as somebody in the position that I am in, I don't think there's anything more um, that I take more pride in or more satisfying to know that I was able to create a safe space.
Mm,
That is a beautiful thing to know that before you, this person did not feel like they could show up and express freely. That is gratifying. So to say, I got to do all this extra work and get the step stool and help them reach. Yeah, but on the other side, and then you have this amazing person that has just beautiful potential. Like there's a lot of great people who just needed that one little thing. And thank God people in my past have helped me to become where I am. And I think relationships are so beautiful because iron just sharpens iron. As long as it's a healthy relationship, you'll just keep bringing out the best and the best and the best and the best. And you get to enjoy that beautiful person, after they've been sharpened really sharp. Just don't cut yourself no heated. So,
don't cut the
well,
nerve. Yeah.
yeah, please don't cut to the white meat. Please tell wifey, thank you for letting me borrow you for an hour and a half. I know it's 9:30
Oh
for
my
you
God,
there,
so,
so it's late.
so wonderful. Thank you so
I
much
hope
for
this
having
isn't
me
the
on.
last.
And thank you just for the invitation in the platform
Oh yeah.
and your brilliance. This was brilliant and so
Mm.
just sharpening. And I mean, I'm gonna shamelessly kind of borrow some of your
Oh
thoughts, but
please.
give you all the credit because you deserve it. This
I
is
appreciate
thank you.
that. And
Seriously.
you do the same. Have a beautiful evening.
Thank
Thank you so much.
you.
All right, guys. Good
Take care
night.
all. Bye.